This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday, and you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with multi-view, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action, make your Sundays more magical, and also YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to an impromptu, short, sharp and sweet edition of Achtung Millwall, belatedly, and it is belated, reviewing the win at Portsmouth last Tuesday night. Carabao Cup glory, glory, glory for the Lions. A 1-0 win, of course, at Fratton Park. I wasn't going to do a show, listeners. I can confess this to you, can't I? But Matt Webb and Bobby T both sent me voice notes, so I feel kind of obligated to produce something as they've made the effort. I now feel, obligated to do the same. So big thank you to Matt and to Bobby. We'll play out this short edition with their 2 voice notes reviewing events on Tuesday night. Tuesday's a funny day, dear listeners. I actually watched 2 Millwall matches in a day. I've never done that in my life. Never have I can think of any situation where I've actually watched a reserve game, which was the Professional Development League game that was televised via the club website. That finished as a 1-1 draw between Millwall and Burnley. And that was a 2:00 kickoff. And then obviously in the evening, we had the new Sky Plus service showing the away game at Portsmouth in the Carabao Cup, first round. So yeah, twice in a day. Oh dear, missus, takes it out of you. The Professional Development League was an interesting one because I've obviously went to the cup final. Was it last season before? At the Den, and on odd occasions I've seen reserve fixtures. But it's always interesting to kind of watch the parallel universe that is reserve team football, under 21 football, PDL football as they call it now. The TV coverage was an interesting experience. It was shown live via the club website, single camera on the halfway line. It was very much a sense of back to the old days. We've all become a bit soft with modern TV coverage, dear listeners. I'll come back to that later on. But we get used to multi-camera angles. We get used to a commentator. And the problem with reserve team football, of course, is for the most part you don't know the personalities and the players involved. Mill's starting 11 featured Jeff Tanganga at number 6, starting I think to keep his hand in whilst he plays out this suspension period. And the only other player that I really knew was Chinakoli alongside him, centre-back partner, and Connell Truman in goal. Otherwise, I'll be honest, most of the players were not known to me, which makes it difficult to do any kind of a review. But there it is, a single camera on the halfway line, no replay, no commentator, and just your ability to try and relate the numbers on the shirts to the post on the Millwall Academy X account, which had the team starting 11. So it wasn't an easy game to follow. Plus the live stream was a bit erratic, to be honest, of the shouts of the players echoing around the Den. And there was one point at the 77th minute where it went into like a loop where I thought, I've just listened to that same shout. And it got itself stuck into a kind of like a repetitive over and over. The stream had broken down, basically. It was doing the 77th minute over and over like a Groundhog Day. So it was, the TV stream was watchable enough, but it was, I missed the goal. I looked away. I think the cat was eyeing up one of the dicky birds in the tree in our back garden. And I was looking at that for a moment, and then when I looked back to the screen, Burnley had scored. So I have no idea how they scored that goal. This is why you tune into our show, dear listeners, for incisive match reports. So I've got to confess, there was no replay of it. All I could see was the ball being retrieved from the back of the net, and Burnley were 1-0 up in the second half. So apologies. And then the stream got stuck on 77 minutes. I had to turn it off. And by the time I got it back all running again, Millwall had achieved the penalty. It was 1-1. I've seen the penalty being put away in on the X account, so a well taken penalty. But how that all happened, I have no idea. So 2 goals, no idea how they happened or what the lead in to it all was. But well done for Millwall for showing it. Once upon a time, reserve football was just the preserve of anyone that had nothing to do on a midweek afternoon. I suppose it still is, in a sense. Only now you can watch it via the miracle of the internet. So I enjoyed it. 1-1 between Millwall and Burnley in the PDL League. But then on to the main event, which was, of course, the Carabao Cup fixture at Fratton Park, a ground I've not been to for a long while, actually. Portsmouth obviously have had their travails, dropping down the divisions, financial crises and all the rest of it. But it was good to see a proper game. Whenever Millwall visit Portsmouth, there's always going to be a frisson to the fixture, and so there was on Tuesday night. Mill starting 11, opportunity Liam Roberts in goal. Back line was McNamara, Wes Harding, Jake Cooper, Joe Bryan. In front of them, Casper Denor, and a professional debut for Alfie Massey. I thought was impressive. We'll come back to him. In front of those two, Jules Honeyman, Roman Esse, and Adamo Amaku. And Langstaff starting up front, Macaulay Langstaff. Now, I would confess to you that normally the Carabao Cup isn't much of a draw on my agenda, dear listeners. I do regard the competition as a bit of the runt of the litter these days. Sad but true, but the League Cup has tumbled some way down the list of everyone's priorities. And when even the kind of generic Sky commentator said that it's not a priority for either side, then you're probably not in for, a footballing feast. But it was a decent game, I thought. I thought both sides were committed. I suppose the fact that the fans are up for it, it's Mill versus Portsmouth, and particularly from a Millwall perspective, on the back of Saturday's disappointment against Watford at home, giving away a game effectively, thanks to some errors and some slack defending. There was a bit of a desire to set that to rights, and we did. To come away from Portsmouth in any circumstances of a 1-0 win is a pretty good performance. But I thought we did bring the grit. There was one opportunity for Pompey just before we scored where they put over the bar from a cross into the middle box. It seemed easier to score for them, but they seem to have strikers that don't know how to put the ball in the net. So thankfully, from our point of view, that was hoisted way over the crossbar into the stand. That was on 9 minutes. I thought, well, we might be in for a bit of an evening here, but thankfully, just a couple of minutes later, 12 minutes, Romain Esse showed what a quality player he is. I think on Saturday there was a bit of a sense that he disappointed us, and he certainly wasn't at his best. But Tuesday night he was at his best. He had made a lovely run, as I wrote in my little post-match review on YouTube. I called it one that reminded some of us older viewers of the Ricky Villa run in the cup final, Spurs versus Manchester City back in the early 80s. He had that kind of deft touch and slotted away with aplomb in front of goal for 1-0. Really, really good goal by Romain Esse, and a real vision of the quality of the boy. Something that's easy to forget when games can be frustrating. He's got to take that forwards now, obviously, to next Saturday to Bristol. I expect him to start down at Bristol. But that was a really good example of what he can do when he backs himself, when he takes the ball and plays with freedom. Quick chorus of Super Neil Harris when that one went in. From a good travelling support. I think I read 900 odd fans went down to Pompey. So well done to everyone that made the journey down midweek. Penalty shout for Pompey, waved away. I thought it looked flimsy on 27. Some nice touches, and basically Mill looked very comfortable at the half-time break. I thought we were looking in control. Portsmouth had no chances apart from that early opportunity. We shut them out for the half, and we looked very comfortable. Second half, bit of a different story. In fairness, they did come out and try to get at us a little bit. There was a chance on 53 where I think the commentator must have come from Radio Solent or, I don't know, Radio Portsmouth. I don't know what it might be called down there. Because he almost wet himself when he thought the ball had gone in the net from a corner. It was headed narrowly wide. They had a little series of corners, a little bit of pressure on us, and there was a flick header at the near post, and I thought it'd gone in, to be honest. He certainly did, and almost, wet his pants, dear listeners. But it's actually into the side netting, thankfully. That was a chance. It wasn't on target, so that has to be said. It was wide, but it was narrowly wide. So, the pressure was being turned up. They were turning the heat up on the lines at this stage. Some terrific work on 58 by Imaku feeding Esse and Denor into Honeyman, who really should have scored from his shot. It was blocked on the line. As we saw last Saturday, Honeyman missed a good chance there, one way and the other, on Saturday. He missed a good chance there to settle the cup tie on 58 minutes, in truth. Should have done a lot better. And another great ball from Joe Bryan feeding Langstaff, and Esse shot over the bar when maybe he should have done a bit better or put it back into the mix. I don't know, 63rd minute. That's, like I said the other day, talent will always back itself, and sometimes it'll be a little bit self-indulgent. That was largely the game. After that, there was no further chances for Portsmouth. I thought we did a good job of shutting them out. They looked very a lot of possession, but no delivery inside the box. I got no chances marked on my notes, dear listeners. I do keep notes. This is how you produce these kinds of shows. The only other thing I put of any noteworthy comment was the fact that the TV production on Sky Plus was a bit wayward. They seem to have like an old 1940s desire to show the crowd at moments where the ball's in play and you actually want to focus on the action, and they start showing people in the crowd for no apparent purpose. The only thing missing was King George VI, because they used to often do that in the old 1940s films, didn't they? So I don't know what that was all about, but I'm going to guess that this Sky Plus service showing the amount of football, a full card of Carabao Cup action on Tuesday night, you're going to get some pretty, amateur hour production on occasions. Anyway, it was all right overall. We played the game out. A little bit of a wobbly handling by Liam Roberts late in the game, but nothing worth, digging him out for. And it finished 1-0. Well worked. We progress. Much needed win, I thought. It set my spirits, back to rights a little bit after the disappointment of Saturday. I know that, we've all said in the previous shows that we'd all mellowed a little bit and there was a lot of positive to take out from that loss at home to Watford. Well, in fairness, with a second string 11, I thought we did see those positives showing some rewards. So nothing to report from the Pompey side of things. Mill looked comfortable and probably should have had 2, possibly even 3 goals based on the, on the chances created. Romain Esse was my man of the match, showing what little quality there was on what was a night of hard labour for both sides, and we showed more quality overall. So just to run through that starting 11, didn't really see much of Roberts. Obviously, Lucas Jensen had a howler on Saturday versus Watford. I would expect Jensen to be backed at Bristol. I don't know what you think, dear listeners. I think that Harris is still got some credit in the bank with Lucas. He does need to produce a decent performance. Roberts on Tuesday didn't really have much to do, in all honesty. There was one moment late where he slightly flapped at a high ball into the box, but I think, you can't read much into that. So I would still expect Jensen to start on Saturday, but Roberts doesn't look a bad option. I was quite impressed with Connell Truman in the reserve game that I watched earlier in the day, incidentally. He made some smart saves versus Burnley. Whether he's deemed to be ready or up to the championship standards, I don't know. I mean, I can only go by what I saw. There's a smart-looking Burnley side when they moved the ball, and he made some decent saves, so who knows. Danny Mack, good Danny Mack performance. Harding was filling in place of Sean Hutchinson. in the starting 11. They did okay. He's an okay defender, I think. There's nothing particularly enlivening. He will be moving down the pecking order once Tanganga is fit. It's going to be Tanganga and then Hutch as the fill-in. Harding, I don't know. I'd be surprised if he's not moved along at some point, because we just seem to be, overloaded with central defenders that can, even with Murray Wallace when he comes back fit, he can fill in the position. So we'll see. It was an okay performance by Wes Harding. Jake the same. Joe Bryan did all right. He combined well with the wide boys, Langstaff and the Marku. Did okay Tuesday night. The midfield was probably where I wanted to comment. I thought Alfie Massey, he called him Andy Massey, that was the old player. Alfie Massey combining well with Casper Denor. I thought Massey looked very comfortable at this level. For an 18-year-old making his debut, I just thought it was worth commenting that he looked very cool on the ball. He got stuck in, and Harris gave him, I think it went off about 60 minutes or so. But a really accomplished debut. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Alfie Massey. I think we're going to see a lot more of this boy in the future. He looks like he's got the ingredients. Decent performance, Casper Denor. In front of them, Honeyman will give you 100% every time. I think, I had a slight dig at him earlier on in this little soliloquy about missing the chances. Yeah, chances have fallen his way twice now in 2 games and not been taken. But he does give you industry, he gives you leadership, and he gives you plenty of energy. So I'm not knocking George Honeyman. I expect him to start Saturday. I expect Romain Esse, because it was a much better performance Tuesday night from Romain. I'm going to have to decide whether it's Romain or Romain. I might vary between the two, dear listeners. But real quality performance. My man of the match, as I've said already. And alongside him, Idemo Emarku, pace and power. I love Idemo Emarku. I want to see a lot more of this boy. I want to see him starting. He started Tuesday. I want to see him start Saturday. Up front, Langstaff. Difficult. Probably, as we've said a few times, he needs the big man alongside him to really see the benefit of Macaulay Langstaff. Neil Harris seems to have a kind of a Tom Bradshaw style role set for him. I'm not sure that's going to be his most ideal role. We'll see how the season pans out. But overall, decent performance. In came Ryan Leonard, Tom Bradshaw, George Saville as the evening wore along. And we go on to face Leyton Orient after the week, 2 weeks' time, I think, is week beginning 27th, I think I saw. For better or for worse. So I'd like to have a cup run. I wouldn't mind a cup run in the Carabao Cup, personally, dear listeners. We've never really done much since the 1990s was the last time we did anything in the League Cup, Carabao Cup as it is now. I'm going to do a show with Neil, actually, just to, as a bit of an advance teaser, looking at Millwall's so-so track record in the League Cup. I remember a quarter-final in the 70s against Norwich, and then one in the 90s. Was it Forest, I think? Or Swindon. We got beaten Swindon, didn't we, in the League Cup? We've never really done much in the League Cup. It'd be nice to have a cup run in the League Cup. So there we are. That's the TV review from a day's worth of Millwall viewing, actually, one way and the other. What with the afternoon show and then, the evening show. The only other news to report is Millwall arranged a slightly odd signing, not odd in the boy. Daniel Kelly from Celtic, Glasgow Celtic, is going to sign for us in January. And apparently there's moves to try and bring him forward soon. I think that maybe the fee might dictate when he moves, but the contract or the expression of interest or whatever the deal is, the expectation is he'll be a Millwall player from January. So that's good news. We're interested in the Middlesbrough striker, whose name escapes me as I'm doing this, but we'll see. We'll see what comes from that. There we are, dear listeners. So, as I said at the start of this little piece, short and sharp review. I wasn't going to do it, but then I felt kind of emotionally blackmailed when Matt Webb and Bobby T sent me their voice notes, so I felt an obligation to do it. So. I'll be at Bristol on Saturday, covering the away game at Bristol City. Hope you're going to be around for the weekend edition of Achtung Millwall. Until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall and bye for now. But we're going to play out to finish the show with Matt Webb, followed by the inimitable, the unique Bobby T. Thank you for listening, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Morning, Nick. Matt Webb here. The day after the win at Portsmouth. Probably like most of us, watched it on the TV, which I did. Which is, to be fair, that Sky Plus coverage ain't bad compared to what we used to have in the red button. So kudos to that. Apologies for the voice. Bit unwell at the moment, mate. So I think the antibiotics are making my voice sound a bit husky. Anyway, my thoughts. Listen, it was a good win. It was a good win down there. It was a dogged performance. You know, going to Fratton Park was never ever going to be easy. Don't matter whether you're going to play a second string team or your first team. Yeah, it's never easy to go down to Fratton Park and to get a result. Saying that, I don't think Portsmouth were that threatening. They knocked on the door, but they didn't do anything else after that. I mean, they recorded no shots on target and didn't trouble Roberts once, I don't think. So that's pleasing. The goal, yeah, it was well taken. That just shows the class of SA. And yeah, he's going to be in and out of games. But you know, it's those little moments like last night that makes the person that he is and the footballer he is. So you know, he will get better and better. You know, he will honestly be an absolute talent. Give him a season with us, hopefully. And I did say he probably won't be in a Mill shirt by the end of the season, but you never know. But last night the goal was well taken. Shout outs as well to Alfie Massey. I thought he done exceptionally well for his debut. I think Danny McNamara played absolutely brilliant last night. Very versatile. He could play left back, right back, and you know, slots in it really well, mate. So do you know what? I was really pleased with Danny Mac, and he was my man of the match, to be fair. I thought Casper was a little bit off the pace, if I'm honest with you. And Roberts, the goalkeeper, didn't put a foot wrong, to be fair. I mean, his distribution was really good, and considering he didn't have much make of a save, I think that's the only thing I really can commend him for. Just a couple of things, mate. I did mention it on Saturday about this one up top, and you know, we've got players that play with and striker next to him, and that's what we need. We can easily make a very good player average if we don't play to the system that he wants to play. And I'm talking about Langstaff. I think if he plays with a player up top with him, he will be a phenomenal player. And also, my last point is about these Hollywood balls that Jake Cooper's doing. You know, yes, one or two may pay off, but you know, we're so. You know, it's so predictable after about 15 minutes. We knew where it was going. And if we can do it as a fan, know what Jake Cooper's going to do with that pass, then imagine what a scout for another team's going to do. You know, we've got to be a bit more creative and a bit more variable in how we deliver balls. And, you know, don't be that predictable, as I keep on saying it. But it's a good win. We're in the hat. Let's hope for West Ham away in the next round. Come on, you guys.
Good evening, Nick Hart, Bobby T. Fuck the Pompey. Millwall 1-0, SA remain Carabao. Honeyman should be playing in the middle. All this time he's a middle person. Honeyman not out on the left. And Amako has got to start Saturday. That is in the fucking pudding. Great game. Was ugly. Millwall 1-0. Pompey, you mugs. Fuck off. Signing off now. 1-0 Millwall. See you Saturday. Bye for now. Nick, Bobby here again. Bobby T here. And that other keeper, Roberts. Fucking hell, he couldn't catch a fucking cold. If you asked him, Roberts is suspect. Couldn't even catch crosses, mate. But anyway, Harris Millwall. Back to the walls. Defending like hell. Who gives a muck? We're in the next round. See you, Pompey. Millwall. Bye for now. Bobby T. Good afternoon, Nick Hart, Bobby T here. Much more chilled out and laid back now from last night's Pompey result. Just want to give a few pointers on yesterday's game and going forward, basically, what I see Millwall season's going to be like, basically. I've chilled, I've calmed down from last night's game. But anyway, Amaku, point one, should start every game now. Bradshaw, Agent Bradshaw gets lots of stick. Landstaff at the moment hasn't proved anything so far. Early days yet. But my highlights are I do fancy this Liam Roberts a bit more steadier than Jensen. Right back, the Adrian Leonard, should take up boxing. I mean, on Saturday against Watford, he was like a bulldog. He was in a war zone. Adrian Millwall defence, in my eyes anyway, with Tango we need when he comes back. But my biggest issue is, Nick, and out to all the Millwall podcasts, all the Achtung Millwall and all the people, Massey does look good. He looks a prospect. And him and Savon Honeyman in the midfield, it worries me about Billy Mitchell. Is his days numbered now, Billy Mitchell? Sideways Bill. And that's it, really. That's all I want. We do need a winger, in my eyes. We do need a target top 6'2" striker. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Bobby T here, signing off. See you at Bristol. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.